Hey everybody, it's Kyla at the MJC again, and I am back to walk you through another section of the financial disclosure form. This time we're going to talk about the anticipated monthly expenses section. This is one of those sections that I find will be intuitive for some people, so if you are comfortable filling this section out, you don't necessarily have to watch this video. You're certainly welcome to skip ahead to the next one. But I'm going to go ahead and go through it because it's totally fair to have questions. Alright, but as always, before I get started, just a reminder that nothing in this video is intended to be legal advice. It is a video, so I'm not able to analyze your specific situation, to know whether what you're doing is the right thing to do in your circumstances, whether it's in your best interest, whether a court will approve what you're asking for. All of those sorts of questions are great questions to get legal advice on. You can get brief legal advice for free here in Milwaukee County through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. If you're not located in Milwaukee County, then you can talk to your clerk of court to find out what resources are available in your county. All right, so let's hop into this form. You can see that spacing is weird, as it is with all of them. And with this, we're just going to do what you predict your monthly expenses will be coming up, what your usual monthly expenses are. It's basically us doing a budget. So in this first line, you're going to put your rent or mortgage payment. And the next line, line 2, wants to know if you have property taxes, any real estate taxes that are not included, in your mortgage number up here. So if your property taxes are included as part of your mortgage payment, you can put a 0 here. If they aren't, or if you have some property tax you're having to fill out on the side, then you can fill that in here. So we'll put a 0 because Jane is a renter, so she doesn't have property taxes that she has to pay. Repairs or maintenance for furniture or appliances. I find that many people don't have these they don't necessarily know what these are in a month. They know what they are over a year. If you know what the yearly amount is, what you can do is you can take that amount and divide by 12. So if you spend $1,200 divided by 12, and just basically treat it as though you're saving up a little bit every month to pay that amount off when it happens. But Jane is a renter, so she doesn't have any of those expenses. Food, on the food line, you will include food share. So earlier in an earlier video, we said Jane receives $150 in food share. Let's say that she spends $100 above that. So she spends $250 every month. So we would put that $250, even though some of that amount is coming out of food share. For utilities, this is where you're going to put your electricity, water, heat, sewage, trash, and you might have to add those up. So if Jane's electricity and heat are $50, but then her water bill is $30 because it's $90 every 3 months, and her trash is $15, you would add it all up and we'd just put that $95 here on this line. So add them all up there. Here, your phone. It includes your cell phone, and if you have a landline still, you'll include your landline as well. And I should note that with these, if someone else is paying it for you, so if you have any of these sections, but this comes up in phones a lot, if I have a phone bill that's in my name, that my grandma is super nice and she has agreed to pay for me, she either sends the money to me or straight to the phone company, I would still list that bill that's coming due in my name, and hopefully I listed the income I'm getting from grandma up above in the monthly income section. If, however, I'm just on grandma's plan and she added me, but I have no obligation to pay that, then typically we wouldn't include that here. Here, any cost that you have for cable or internet. Laundry and dry cleaning is going to be any cost you have if you take $10 to the local laundromat to use their washers, or if you have dry cleaning expenses. It won't include, though, if you buy detergent. That goes up here. You can see with food, it also includes household supplies. That would include things like laundry detergent, toilet paper, paper towels, that kind of stuff. So here, only if you have those sort of additional laundry expenses. Clothing and shoes. If you know what you spend in a month on clothing and shoes, awesome. I find that, again, this is one of those where people often know what they spend in a year. And so what you can do is take what you spent in a year. So if Jane knows that she spent on her and her kids $1,200, And you can divide that by 12, the number of months in a year, and it gives you that number that you would then put here and just kind of treat it like you saved that amount up. Medical, dental, prescription drug expenses. This is anything not covered by your insurance. So if you have a prescription that you get monthly and it has a copay, or if you don't have dental insurance, so you every 6 months you have to pay, $100 to see your dentist. Those sorts of things. And again, if you have multiple ones, so if you have a medical and a dental and a prescription drug, you'll just add them all together. Here, and that can include for kids as well. If your kid has a prescription, that could go there as well. Here, any insurances you have that aren't automatically deducted from your check. So we mentioned up here in this section when we were going through the income section that you might have health insurance pulled from your check or other insurances pulled from your check. If they are listed up here, you don't need to list them again here. This is just any that aren't automatically withheld from your check. So for example, Jane has car insurance and renter's insurance, and altogether that's $150 a month. Here, any childcare costs, babysitting, daycare, that kind of thing. I put in 50. I think that's probably a little low for childcare, but maybe it's just babysitting, because I know from earlier videos we've said Jane's kids are a little bit older. Down here, child support in line 13. This is child support, again, previous marriage or relationship that you pay. And again, don't include it if it's automatically coming out of your check. If it's automatically coming out of your check, we already listed it up here, and you don't get to double dip. So this is only going to be if you are sending that check to the Wisconsin Trust Fund, or you're coming in every month to pay it through Child Support Services, but it's not automatically being withheld from your check. And again, if none, you'll put 0. I probably should have mentioned this above, but make sure you are putting 0 if you don't have something. Entertainment, so anything you spend on going to clubs, going to movies, going to, for travel, anything you do just kind of to have fun, you'll put there. Here, grooming, so like haircuts, getting your nails done, getting your eyebrows waxed, all those kinds of things would go here. Tobacco, if you're a smoker, this would include tobacco, alcohol, gifts, just kind of that miscellaneous stuff that happens. Would go here. So we'll say Jane gets her haircut and she's also a smoker, so she ends up paying about $90 a month on incidental stuff. Here, transportation other than an automobile goes on line 17. So if you use those Lime scooters or you have a bus pass, that kind of stuff could go here. And we'll say Jane doesn't have that. Line 18 is for where you'll put your monthly car payment. So if you have a car loan that you're paying off, that's where you're going to list that. Line 19 is for any car expenses, so what you spend on gas and maintenance. And maintenance and repairs, those are one of those things, again, where you probably don't necessarily know what you spend monthly, but you could take what you spent in a year, divide by 12, and then what you spend on gas. So again, just an estimate there. Newspapers, magazines, books. If you have a newspaper subscription, it also includes online subscriptions. So if you have any of those would go here as well. For line 21, that's if you have a pet, you'll include how much you spend on food, vet bills, grooming. And again, you can take anything you spend in a year and divide by 12 if you're not sure for like vet bills and that kind of thing. Here are payments to any dependents who don't live in your home. So if you have elderly parents who you send money to, or if you have college-age kids who you send money to, anything like that. Here, if you have any expenses on line 23 for your hobbies, if you are a knitter and you have to pay for yarn, or if you build model airplanes and you pay for the airplanes themselves, or whatever you may do. And again, if none, just put 0. 24 is for taxes other than payroll deductions. So, for example, it's not going to be these amounts that are automatically withheld from my check, but if I have, say, back taxes that I'm paying off, and that's not automatically withheld, that could come from here. If you are self-employed and you have to, every quarter you're supposed to send in the rough estimate of what your taxes are going to be, that could go here, those sorts of things. Number 25 is for professional expenses, so that's where you would put if you have a realtor, or if you have a lawyer, or if you have an accountant who does your taxes, or if you see a counselor or a therapist. Those sorts of expenses would go here. We'll just put a 0 there. And then this skip line between 25 and 26, you actually don't have to fill anything in, not even a 0. 26 is for if you have a second mortgage. So if you have a mortgage in addition to your primary one, you'll list it here. If not, you can just put 0. 27, if you have a second vehicle. So if you have car loans on 2 different vehicles, you can list that one there. Credit card debt, it technically wants the monthly minimum payments that are due on all of your credit cards, but what most people end up doing is putting what they actually pay. But I always want to let you guys know that's what it's asking for. We typically put what you actually pay, but do note what it technically wants is the monthly minimum payments. So depending on your county, they may be more strict about that. And we'll say Jane's paying $150. Court-ordered obligations, if you have any judgments against you or anything ordered through the courts, that would go there. Student loans, make sure you're not going to list the total amount of the loan that you owe, so not that $50,000 or what have you, but just the amount you're supposed to pay per month. Here, personal loans, if you have any of those. And this bottom line, you can see this isn't fillable, but if you have something that doesn't fit in any of those categories, like remember up here, Jane had this Chapter 13 payment, and that was $200 a month. If you have something that isn't withheld from your check, so Jane doesn't need to include this because it's withheld from her check, but if you have something like that that didn't fit in any category, handwrite here what it is, and then here put the amount. And then one last thing we have to do before we're done is we have to go back and add all of this up. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch because it's just going to be you guys listening to me go through and add these up. We'll see if I can manage this without getting the number off. Plus 250, plus 95, plus 65, plus 50, plus 10, plus 100, plus 50, plus 150, plus 50, and keep going down here, plus 50, plus 90, plus 250, plus 200, plus 15, plus 150, and then plus 200 equals. All right, and then you're going to write that total number. Oh, and I, of course, put it down, 2525. And I do recommend running that number twice just to be safe because as you can see, it's easy to skip a line to get that addition a little bit off. So I'd run it twice just to be sure. I won't make you guys watch me add again, but for you, I'd go ahead and do that. And the other thing I would do is take a look at this number and see how it compares to your income up here. So as long as it's pretty close, no worries. But if your expenses say you only spend $500 and your income is $3,000, unless you have $2,500 sitting around every month, there may be a mistake either in your income or in your expenses. All right, well, that is all for this section. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you need additional information, you can always come in to the MJC located in room G9 of the Milwaukee County Courthouse to get additional help. And otherwise, that is all for this section, and I will be back later to walk you through all of the asset sections. All right, that is all for this video. Take care, and I hope you all go out and represent yourselves well.